I think the first step towards leaving Islam is accepting one's thoughts. That, however, isn't very easy to accomplish. Islam teachings state clearly that doubt is infidelity. Infidelity leads to hell. In school, I was taught to never question Allah's origin because it can accelerate to doubting Islam. Perhaps what made it easier for me to start thinking is Shia. It's filled with too much nonsense and controversy. One day on my way to university, it randomly came to my mind, what if Shia is not the right path? I immediately followed by thinking, what am I saying? I can go to hell for this thought. I can't let the devil whisper in my ear. Then I stopped right there. When I got home, however, I started searching Arabic websites and YouTube. I immediately noticed how much Shia is a joke to Sunnah and to the world. Many videos of Shia clerics saying dumb stuff to large amounts of audience who are completely blinded by the status of these clerics. One cleric was saying kiwi birds clean the meat between the teeth of whales. Another one saying insects are the small animals living in burrows like rabbits and mice. And one of the major clerics was obviously faking crying by laughing. Pretty shameful to think I was supposed to look up to these trolls. An app called Cake was the start of my online social life. I had many friends there internationally whom I'm glad I met. They influenced many of my life decisions and enhanced my thinking. I was no longer in the small bubble of the Muslim society around me. I got to understand that the Western world isn't evil as I was taught to believe. I got to understand it doesn't matter if you're Muslim or Christian, atheist or an atheist, straight or gay. Humanity is always above any religion. My desire to leave this rotting country started there. Even though there were too many stuff going on in my head about Islam, I didn't leave it right away. I started searching and questioning. I became active on Twitter after I discovered a movement called Stop Enslaving Saudi Women, which was mainly for the purpose of canceling the guardianship laws to adult women. Guardianship laws make it so Saudi women at any age require approval from a male guardian for major life decisions that included marriage, education, and travel. I thought, yes, if this was to work, it would be much easier for me to flee the country. So I began supporting the movement. I also found some nice people from foreign countries who support the movement and wish the best for Saudi women, some of which I became friends with to this day. At that time, I was also making discussions and debates with other Muslims on Twitter, questioning existence and using scientific proofs. I also discovered some of the like-minded in search for the truth. I came to believe that the deeper the discussions with creationists go, the more I realized that the final decision is purely one's personal preference, whether to stick to religion or not. For me, the only matter that kept me a Muslim at that point was the fear of hell. That is until I said to myself, it's not really worth to believe based on fear alone. And so I decided to leave Islam. After finally making the decision of leaving Islam, I had to get rid of the last connection I had with it, which is prayer. At first, I was still praying even though I believed it was meaningless at that point. After all, I was praying for as long as I can remember, and getting rid of it is like getting rid of a habit after doing it for too long. One day I decided I'd go ahead and try to miss one prayer. I remember it was Dhuhr and Al-Asr prayers. I used to usually delay the prayer until I come back home from college since I didn't really like praying in college. But this time, I wasn't gonna do it ever. It was worrying and uncomfortable the whole time, to be honest. Felt like something's missing from my day. Fortunately, that feeling started to vanish the closer I was to the next prayer time. When I heard the adhan call of the next prayer, I felt happy and relieved. It wasn't that bad. Nothing really happened, I thought to myself. As I was missing more and more prayers gradually, one of my sisters started to notice. Luckily, it was the one sister I can mostly relate to. We were sharing similar interests and had some mutual friends online, including atheist friends. She approached me and asked, "Do you not pray?" I told her, "I don't think Allah exists, to be honest. It's up to you to believe me or not." Then I walked away and left her with her own thoughts. My mother has always been strict towards the clothing of her daughters. That got worse over time as we grew and developed female features. At home, we weren't allowed to expose anything but arms, feet, head and neck. Tight clothes like leggings weren't allowed. Anything outside that and we'll get that disappointed and upset look from my mother over and over. My mother was especially focusing on me and one of my sisters because we are thicker. She did it all to avoid any chance of us seducing the boys of the house, my father and my brothers. I know the idea of it is disgusting, but we are used to it. Perhaps my mother's strict rules were for a good reason. After all, incest thoughts aren't uncommon among Saudi men. It's just well hidden. I remember I saw this tweet I cannot forget. A guy posted a picture of a woman bent over the couch with the caption, "What would you do if you see your sister in this position?" I eventually lost interest in trying to dress up. I started wearing oversized pajamas. Overall, all of us sisters started to give up to the idea of isolation. We started avoiding weekly family meetings, weddings, and even Eid celebrations. I didn't like interacting with the mentalities of these people anyways. I started playing a game called League of Legends because many of my geek friends play it and enjoy it. I wanted to share that experience with them. I was playing with passion and trying hard to improve at the game, even though my ping wasn't helping. I just couldn't help it and stop playing because I was genuinely enjoying the game. My mother was very bothered that I was spending hours playing a game. She used to get very pissed when she calls for me and someone tells her I'm playing. Of course, mothers don't understand online games can't be paused. One time she had enough and disconnected the router. Lame. Eventually, two of my sisters and my youngest brother started playing the game as well. In my mother's head, I was a bad influence to my siblings.